Morning. I want to teach you today analysis of costs. Analysis of costs looks at basically cost of production. And I also wanted to tell you that with the production function, which I taught you in the last lecture, and analysis of cost, we have entered into the realm of microeconomics. Macroeconomics looks at the national things like inflation, like national income, like savings and investment at the national level and things like that. But microeconomics looks at micro things, which is at the firm level. Firm is a company, a factory, a partnership, a shop, whatever, or an individual. Okay, so microeconomics is for little things and macroeconomics is for the national level things or regional level things. Okay, so analysis of cost is naturally mainly regarding the micro level things. So in costs, you have to learn three different types of costs. The first is fixed cost. Fixed cost is when you are not spending money on it again and again in a very short period of time. So if you buy a backpack, then that will remain with you for about 2 years or something. You are not going to be buying backpacks every month or every 15 days. Okay, so it's a fixed cost. A cost whose benefit is going to remain with you for more than 1 year. Okay, so a backpack is a fixed cost, machinery is a fixed cost, building or rented building is a fixed cost, furniture, fan, all these are fixed costs. Okay, so fixed cost is something you are not spending it again and again. You spend it once and then you enjoy the benefits for at least more than a year. Okay, clothes are also fixed cost. Okay, so variable cost is something where you are spending money again and again. It's a recurring cost. So you spend money every day on food. It's a recurring cost, variable cost. You spend money on pen almost every month or every 2 months or something like that, recurring cost. Okay, so there are costs, raw materials. You have to buy that. If you want to produce, you will have to buy raw materials. Every third month at least, you will be buying raw materials. So all these are costs called the variable costs. And there is a very important thing to notice that even if production is not happening, fixed costs will remain. Like for example, if I stop my production, I still have to keep paying the rent for the building. I cannot not do that, you know. So it's a fixed cost, irrespective of whatever is the level of production, fixed costs will remain. Okay. And as far as variable cost is concerned, variable cost will change with production. So I produce a little only, my variable cost will be small. I produce a lot, my variable cost will be a lot. I stop producing, my variable cost will be zero. Okay, so fixed cost, variable cost. And the third cost is something which now you are quite familiar with, that term, marginal cost. The cost of producing the additional unit. Okay, so just like we were talking about marginal product, the production that happens if I employ one additional labor. So just like that, if I want to produce one additional unit, then I will look at what is called marginal cost, cost of producing an additional unit. Okay, so now let me share the screen with you and show you these costs. Okay, so now you can see that we have the quantity of, say, laborers over here. Okay, then even when there was nobody employed, when there was no raw material, you still have fixed costs, because as I told you, these costs do not stop happening. You will have to keep spending on them anyway. Okay, so the rent for the electricity machine, whatever that little amount, you have to keep spending every month. So that is all fixed cost. Variable cost is zero if I'm not producing anything. Because I'm not producing anything, I'm not buying any raw material, I'm not employing any laborers, my variable cost will be zero. Total cost is fixed plus variable cost, so it is 55. One laborer then my variable cost starts increasing. And as I employ more and more laborers, my variable cost will increase. Okay. So this is the variable cost, fixed cost, and total cost. And marginal cost is this minus this. So 85 minus 55, 110 minus 85, and things like that. So this column has come from that. So 480 minus 370 is 110. 610 minus 480 is 130, and things like that. Okay. So this is the marginal cost. And then it is very important to calculate these three other different types of costs for any analysis at the level of the firm. So the first is average cost, or you can call it average total cost. Okay. So average total cost or average cost is total cost divided by quantity. Okay. So total cost divided by quantity, 55 divided by 0, infinity. 85 divided by 1, 85. Then 110 divided by 2, 55. 130 divided by 3, 43.3. 160 divided by 4, 40, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So average cost is total cost divided by quantity. Average fixed cost. Fixed cost divided by quantity, and these are the answers. Average variable cost divided by quantity. Okay. So this is how the costs are to be calculated. I hope that this is clear now. Now we'll go to the next slide, which, as I said, is an extremely important thing for you to understand if you want to do any kind of microeconomics. These curves you should know by heart. Okay. So here, now you have all these curves drawn in certain manner. Learn to draw this, and I'll show you how. So first, you will, of course, draw the two, you will draw the two axes, cost on the y-axis and quantity on the x-axis. Now, draw a average cost curve or average total cost curve like this. Okay, it is going to be a U-shaped curve. So it comes down and then it goes up. Okay, it could have gone all the way up here also. Fine. So just like that, you then draw the average variable cost. It is going to be another U-shaped curve, but it will come closer and closer to ATC. And why that is so? Because total cost is equal to average fixed cost plus variable cost. We saw that average fixed cost is constantly declining because it's the same cost, 55, which is being divided by more and more quantity. So it would come close to zero. It would never become zero because it's a positive quantity. So a positive amount. So, but it would become closer and closer to the x-axis. So this is your average fixed cost. As quantity increases, average fixed cost decreases. And that's why the distance between these two, which is AFC, that will decrease as your quantity increases. And that is the reason why when you draw the AVC and ATC, remember that the distance between the two will keep declining. Okay. And then comes the marginal cost curve. When you draw the marginal cost curve, you start from here because it is going to decline and then increase. But remember that the lowest point of marginal cost curve is the lowest point of all these curves to put together. Then it starts rising. It will first hit AVC at its lowest point. So when you are drawing this, always mark the lowest point of AVC. Okay. And pass your marginal cost curve through that. Then it goes on and it hits ATC at once again its lowest point. Okay. This comes first and this comes later because ATC would have less and less of AFC also included. And that is the reason why it would come at a higher quantity. So your marginal cost curve will have to slope like this. Okay. First AVC, it somewhat more quantity, and then lowest point of ATC and then it grows up. Okay? This is how you would draw the cost curves. Now, the next concept that you need to understand, it's part of the same chapter, is the revenue. So how do you define the revenue? Total revenue is price multiplied by quantity sold. I mean, no great deal about it. So if price is equal to 5 and 20 units were sold, then the total revenue would be 20 multiplied by 5 is equal to 100. Average revenue, just following the same thing that we have done, total cost divided by quantity or variable cost divided by quantity. So total revenue divided by quantity, and total revenue divided by quantity, as you know here, is price. Okay? So TR is equal to P multiplied by Q. So TR divided by Q has to be equal to price. Okay, so that is price. Now, if average revenue is equal to price, and if we put it as if the average revenue is always, the price is always going to remain the same, whatever is the quantity that we want to sell, then your average revenue curve is going to look like this, horizontal. But if you realize that you can't really sell everything that you want to sell. So if you want to sell more, demand will increase only if price decreases, law of demand. So if I want to keep selling more and more, I will have to keep decreasing the price. So if you want to sell more and more, often you have to reduce price to increase the quantity sold. And so your average revenue curve will look like your demand curve. It will be a negative sloping curve. If the prices remain the same, whatever is the quantity that we sell, then it is a horizontal line. If we realize that it is not going to sell more quantity unless we decrease the price, then the average revenue curve would be like this. Okay, so that is what you needed to understand as far as this particular lecture is concerned. And I'll stop at this now. So I'll stop sharing. And now I will meet you in the next lecture, and it's a very small thing which you need to understand. We will do that quickly, and then we will finish off the equilibrium condition based on the concept of marginal cost and marginal revenue. I'll see you in the next lecture.